G'day there guys, r/entitled people are going crazy throughout the town, and I'm going to tell you about them today on today's episode. Now if you enjoyed today's content, please do sit back, relax, and smack that like button, and tell me what you think of it in the comments. Posted by user MistyDC. Titled, Crazy dog owner abandons her dog in a shop for hours, then goes mental when she's told the boss is not happy. We shall call the subject of this story Arshat. So this happened earlier this year, just before lockdown, which is lucky for Arshat, or they may have been charged with a terror crime. I work in a shop that sells hardware, and doesn't have an issue with people bringing their dogs in. I personally love dogs, and don't have one, so take every opportunity for a bit of a cuddle. So I'm on my own in the shop one day when Arshat comes in to discuss some work she had asked us to carry out for her. She's got 2 dogs with her. One is a big lab cross, and the other is a smaller lab terrier of some sort. I coo over the dogs, and we get to discussing her job requirements. Once that's done, we chat for a while about dogs and all is well. Whilst we're chatting, she spots something in the shop that she likes and wants to buy. I give her a price and she says she has no cash and needs to go home and get some. I don't live far, she says. Just then, the phone rings, so I answer, and while I'm talking to the caller, she plonks the small dog on the counter and tells me that it's too tired to walk any further, and I can look after it while she goes to get the money. I grudgingly agree because A, I can't really argue while I'm still trying to talk to the other customer, and B, she doesn't live far. Remember these words. So, off she goes. 15 minutes later, I'm now holding the little dog who, getting a little stressed at the disappearance of Arshat, keeps making a break for the door. Another 5 minutes go by and no sign of her. Then another 10 and still nothing. So I poke my head out of the door to see if she's walking down the road. Nope, nothing. I wait and wait. An hour after she left, it's approaching closing time, and here I am on a Friday afternoon with a virtual stranger's whimpering dog in my arms. I couldn't put it down because we're on a busy road, and it made a beeline for the door as soon as I did. All through this, I had other customers come in, and I had to perch the dog on the counter while I served them. One lady even had to hold the dog for me whilst I carried out her order. So, I try to call Arshat's phone. No answer. Leave a message. Another half hour goes by, and nothing. I try the phone again, and nothing. Finally, on the 3rd try, she answers, and I ask her when she's going to be back, as she was just popping home to get some cash. "Oh, sorry," she says. "When I got home, I needed to help my elderly neighbor with some gardening. I'm on my way." Great, I think. Won't be long now. Just then, my boss arrives home from his works out on site, and asks why the hell am I holding a small white dog, and who the hell does it belong to? I explain the situation, and he's calm, but not particularly happy. He also tells me that Arshat actually lives about a 45-minute walk away. Fan-bloody-tastic. Eventually, 5 minutes after closing time, just as I was making plans to take the dog home for the weekend, Arshat walks in the door. Not a care in the world, no apology, nothing. I just want to get rid of her and get home, so I'm polite but not friendly. I hand the dog over and try to hustle her out of the door. My boss, on the other hand, does not like people who take the piss, so he tells her that he's given me a verbal warning because I agreed to look after the dog and it was her fault. He hadn't, but she didn't know that. She goes nuts. I mean, like, from calm and smiling to bat crap crazy in 2 seconds flat. She starts screeching about what a racist, sexist pig he is. Honestly, neither my boss nor I had any idea that she was of a different race to us, and I'm still not convinced. She rants and raves, flinging abuse like a monkey throws crap at the zoo, and eventually storms out. My boss watches her go, then calmly closes and locks the door. 10 seconds later, she's back because she's just realized she left her phone inside. She slams into the glass door to throw it open, but it's locked, so she hits it hard. Then she steps back, hisses like a cat, and spits on the door handle, then leaves without the phone. I didn't ever want to engage with her again, so I took the phone out to her at the bus stop. She tried to carry on the tirade, but I shut her down and went home. Posted by user Stormy Onyx. Titled, Entitled Karen pushes me out of electric cart. So this just happened at my local grocery store, and I'm still fuming over it, so please forgive any typos or strong language that may be used. For reference, I have a hereditary connective tissue disorder, HEDS, that makes my tendons, ligaments, skin, some veins, and other connective tissue very loose and stretchy. This causes chronic pain, frequent dislocations, hyperextensions, and generally loose joints. I also have a degenerative disc disease and a comorbid form of dysautonomia, POTS, that makes my heart race every time I'm standing and can eventually cause me to pass out if I'm standing for too long. I can walk, but I have to use a cane when I do because I can't walk very well or for very long. My knees don't like to support my body weight, and I can very easily dislocate a knee or a hip if I step ever so slightly wrong or happen to trip over anything. Because of this, I tend to use my wheelchair for longer outings. Thankfully, my local grocery store has those electric carts that customers can ride around on in the store, so I don't have to go to the trouble of hauling my wheelchair out of the car and can just use one of those. So I'm in the store, doing some grocery shopping, minding my own business. I wasn't even really paying attention to the people around me because I just wanted to get what I needed and get out. One of the items I needed happened to be on the top shelf, so I got up out of the electric cart to get it off the shelf. The next thing I know, this fudging Karen flips her crap, because those carts are for people who need them, not kids who just want to take them for a joyride. I should add here that if you didn't know me, or you've never seen me attempt to walk, there doesn't appear to be anything wrong with me. Other than the way I walk, I look perfectly healthy to the casual observer. Now, I get this kind of thing all the time when I'm using one of the store's electric carts, so I just rolled my eyes and told her that I do need it and started to move along to get the rest of my shopping done. Surprise, surprise, that wasn't the end of it. The next thing I know, this biz's hands were on my shoulders, and she gave me a hefty shove and fudging pushed me so hard I fell out of the cart. Now I'm just sitting there, on the floor, stunned, while this woman yells obscenities at me in between generally incoherent ramblings about idiotic college kids. Thankfully at this point, my boyfriend came back from grabbing milk. He rounded the corner into the aisle and saw what was going on, and from the look on his face, I'm surprised he didn't deck the tramp. The subsequent argument went something like this. My boyfriend says, "Excuse me, what the F do you think you're doing? This little brat thinks it's okay to steal carts from disabled folks. He is disabled, you fudging Dumbo. I saw him get up to reach for something. He's obviously faking it. You thick mother effer. You think just because he can stand means he doesn't need a cart? And you think that gives you the right to assault him? What the F is wrong with you?" Boyfriend then proceeds to ask me if I want him to call the cops. Lady starts freaking out over the possibility of actual real live assault charges, and I guess the commotion was enough that at that point, one of the store's managers decided to get involved. He sees me still on the floor, asks what's going on, and when my boyfriend explained what had happened, also asked me if I wanted to call the authorities. At this point, I had had enough, was pretty shaken up and on the verge of crying, which I don't like to do in public, and just wanted to go home. At the end of all of this, the store manager comped my groceries, banned Karen from the store, and told me that all the other stores from the chain that were in the area did too. I've had people give me the side-eye or go as far as to chide me for using the store's electric carts before, but I have never had anyone put their hands on me until now. It makes me so mad because this woman literally just saw me stand up to reach something, and apparently that was reason enough for her to feel the need to physically remove me from the mobility aid that I was using. Now, like I said, to the casual observer, I don't look disabled. Unless you saw me walking or saw me dislocate something, you probably wouldn't know there was anything wrong with me. It just makes me so angry, Because people ought to know that invisible illnesses exist, and that not all disabilities can be outwardly seen. Also, just because someone can stand up doesn't mean they don't need a wheelchair. It's not like only people who are paralyzed have the right to use one. And even if it was just an idiot college kid taking an electric cart for a spin, that still doesn't give someone the right to push me out of it. If you think I shouldn't be using it, go get a manager or something. Or better yet, mind your own damn business and find your own damn shopping. I shouldn't have to explain my disability to everyone who sees me using a mobility aid. That happens a lot, even when I'm just using my cane. Random strangers will ask me what happened or how I hurt myself. My go-to answer and shutdown for that is now, I was born. And I especially shouldn't have to fear for my physical safety every time I need to go grocery shopping. Anyway, sorry if this was long-winded or ranty. Crap was infuriating. Posted by user Forever Souls Raven. Titled, I thought we were touching each other inappropriately. Now, thanks to a post I just read, I remembered this story that happened a while back, but we still laugh at it. In all honesty, I don't think I ever laughed this hard in my life at Walmart. Our car star, MVP, my very pregnant friend, me, the magical entity, and Kay, Karen. My friend at this time was about 8 months preggo, and she was huge. I loved watching her waddle, it was kinda cute. I went to Walmart with her because she needed a few things and needed help carrying them. Then enters the dreaded Karen. Karen's like, "Aw, you're pregnant." My pregnant friend looks at her belly, and I should mention my friend is sarcastic, smart-assed as it gets, and says, "Well, what do you know? I am." I'm just standing there holding things. Karen says, "I want to touch your belly." "No, you're not." Karen gives the look and says, "What do you mean I can't touch your belly?" "Because I said so, and just try and see what happens." Apparently, this Karen was dumb enough to take the bait and touched my friend's pregnant belly. At the moment Karen's hand touched my friend's pregnant belly, my pregnant friend grabbed Karen's ass and gave it a squeeze. I'm losing my crap because of Karen's face in horrified shock, and she starts banshee screaming, saying, "What the F is wrong with you? Why did you just grab my ass?" "Oh, I thought we were inappropriately touching each other. I mean, I asked you and told you not to touch me, but you did anyway. So since you can touch me, I can touch you, right? I mean, that's your logic." I am now speechless and gasping for air from laughing, including some bystanders. Karen is literally speechless like a fish out of water. My pregnant friend just looked at me and said, "Let's go." I don't think I've ever enjoyed a Walmart trip as much as I did this one. Posted by user I'm the True Firestarter. Titled, Karen's step-parent doesn't let me speak and lies to try to get me in trouble. So my parents divorced when I was very little, and my dad got remarried to another woman, who turned out to be a Karen. She didn't start acting like one towards me until I was much older though, around 7 or 8. My dad eventually divorced her, but not until I was 12. It's a long story. Anyway, I have many stories about her. I will probably tell those some other time, but here is my first one. So first, I was 10 or 11 at the time, and I'm very socially awkward. I have Asperger's, and at the time, I was undiagnosed. Anyway, it was a Sunday night, and I was putting my clothes away in my closet like a good child I was trying to be. Eventually, I finished up and went into the other room to watch TV. A few minutes later, Karen comes in upset and tells me to come back to my room. I follow her into my open closet, and this is how the conversation follows. Karen says, "Want to tell me why you put your clothes up wrong?" I'm confused and nervous as hell and say, "What do you mean?" Karen grabs the shirt off the hanger and says, "You put your shirts on wrong and now you have stretched it." In truth, I don't really care how the shirt looks, as long as the message on the shirt is okay and it's not like ripped in half or anything. I only care if it fits. I looked at it confused as to what I should be looking for, and I say, "I don't see anything wrong with it." Karen, figuring out this was going nowhere, says, "How did you put this shirt on the hanger?" I show her. I put it in through the top because it was easier than to go through the bottom because they would get more wrinkled that way. And then she would yell at me for that. Karen condescendingly says, "You were doing it wrong." Well, can I explain why I did it that way? Karen, getting louder and more demanding, says, "Don't you dare argue with me." I'm not arguing. I just want to explain myself. Stop arguing back and listen to me, OP. Once again, do you want to know why I did it that way? This goes on for about 15 to 20 minutes, with her just yelling in my face about how I'm arguing back to her for showing me how to put my clothes up. Nothing but just non-stop shouting and her constantly cutting me off, saying I'm arguing and not being respectful. Finally, I just decide to be quiet and let her speak since this whole thing was going nowhere. She shows me the way that I am supposed to put up my clothes, and I'm trying my best not to cry. She finally finished. She said something else. I forgot what exactly, but it was something I had been trying to say before the whole debacle occurred. And I say, "Okay, can I just say this one thing?" This is where Karen cranked the crazy level up to a 10, and says, "That's it, we are going to talk to your father." She drags me downstairs to the exact other side of the house where my dad was doing work on the computer. I was bawling my eyes out. All that flooded my head was, "I'm done for, I'm done for." We enter the office and I sit in a chair in the corner and I'm crying like crazy saying, "I'm done for." I legit felt like my dad would believe her over me because she is the adult. She tells him her side and blatantly lies to him, saying I was arguing back and wouldn't let her teach me. She said that no matter what, I wouldn't let her talk and was being disrespectful the whole time, when really, it was the other way around. So my dad pulled me aside with her in the office there looking at me. Finally, I get a chance to speak my mind. I told him what happened and why I did what I did. I also told him that I was trying to explain myself, but she would not let me speak, and made up the whole arguing back bullcrap. She said that it was a lie, and I know it. Luckily, my dad believed me, and I got away without repercussions. From what I could tell, nothing happened to her, but she and my dad had been fighting for a while, and eventually my dad divorced her, so I think that counts as a win. This is the first of the stories of my Karen. Posted by user Rambo Robertsons 20, titled, "A Short Plane Ride with an Entitled Mother and Entitled Kid." Little details: I'm a white male, 30, brown hair, brown eyes, short beard, and 6 foot tall. Story: I just sat down next to the window on a flight to New Mexico State that was about a 2-hour flight. I'm generally very laid back and have a go with the flow attitude. Recently, the limit on spaced seating has ended on coach flights, allowing everyone to sit next to each other when wearing masks on short flights. I have 2 empty seats next to me. Seats are assigned, but generally attendants can allow the switching of seats if warranted. Entitled mother walks down the aisle with entitled kid, stops at my aisle and turns to look at me. I look over as she seems to be sizing me up. I kindly offer entitled kid the window seat, as what doesn't mean much to me could easily mean the world to him. I honestly am not sure if either of them heard me, as her entitled kid instantly out of nowhere started crying crocodile tears and created a tantrum about sitting in the window seat. I once again offered my seat and began to stand up. Entitled mother paying no attention to entitled kid, giving me the "I'm the mother" tone, and berating me for making her precious entitled kid cry. I'm a terrible man that needs to learn to respect women and children, blah blah blah. Attendant makes her way over to see what entitled mother's shouting and entitled kid's crying is about. Entitled mother begins again mentioning that I disrespected her son and herself, and that I should be removed from the plane. I've kept my mouth shut, as I'd very much like to make it to my destination. The attendant asks me if it's true what she claims. In short words, I reply a simple, "No, ma'am." The attendant then asks me if I'd like to switch seats. I agree, and as we start to walk away, Entitled Kid jumps to the window as if he wasn't crying a moment ago. Entitled Mother once again demands I be removed from the flight. The attendant looks back and replies, "Ma'am, if you raise your tone to me one more time, it will be you who is removed from the plane." That shut Entitled Mother down quick. The attendant asked me to follow as she led me to a seat in business class. I thanked her and asked her how many times she's found herself in this situation. She said, "Honey, I've been doing this for 20 years. I run into this every other flight. It's best just to switch a seat and diffuse the situation, then let it play out." And then she walks off. I got to enjoy my first time in business class next to a window. For a bit of petty revenge at the end of the flight, generally coaches are last to exit, but I asked the same attendant if I could wait until the coach had passed before exiting the plane. The attendant knew exactly what I wanted and said to take as long as I needed. Entitled Mother and Entitled Kid started by the aisle I sat in, and I mentioned with a smile that I hoped they had a pleasant flight. Entitled Mother gives me the biggest frown I've seen and exits the plane. Attendant gives me a pack of nuts as I left the plane, and I have much more respect for the attendants deal with daily. I've read about these stories multiple times, and I have honestly doubted some of them. Never again. Alright, that's where I think I'm going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I really do hope you learned something or just really enjoyed the posts that were put up today. Quick shout out to all my new and existing Patreon and channel members. You should be able to see your name on screen right now, and if you don't, then I don't think you're part of the club, and you really should join the club because it's a great club. And I want to thank every single one of you guys for supporting me in this journey. It really means so much to me, and I love you all so much for it. Thank you for helping me out. As you can tell, I'm now happy and healthy back in Australia. Thank God it's not cold like Ireland. I don't like wearing jumpers everywhere. I prefer the heat. Thank you very much. I know that's an unpopular opinion. Anyway, guys, I really do hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you later. Bye.